Hello, gentles and ladymen. I'm Ulan Gaming, and I am joined by Dunamai, also who is from the Age of Bison channel. How's it going?
Great. How about you?
Not bad. And today we are going to be casting all three of my tournament games for this series for my channel. And I mean, of course, you guys are free to cast for your guys' channel as well, but I don't think any of these games are Game of the Week material. So how has it been just kind of managing all of the games across the tournament so far? I imagined it's been quite the headache.
Well, we are still doing the recap for week 2 and it's week 5, so I guess that's your answer right there.
Yeah, I suppose so. You guys still haven't casted our game from week 3 yet, which I thought would be out way sooner. But yeah, your guys' channel has been very explosive in progress. A lot more so than mine. My channel took 6 years to get to this point. You guys are a lot younger, and I wish I grew as fast as you guys did.
Well, to be fair, you do have your 1,000 subscribers.
That's
And,
true.
congratulations on that, by the way.
Well, thank you. Today's game is a 3-game series between myself, Corbin Harbor, and Parallel Fifth, who you kind of described as this guy who plays really solid but doesn't do a lot of competitive, so his elo is a little deceiving, is how you described it, right?
I don't remember that, but yeah, sure, go ahead.
I think
that's fair.
Because you said, I remember your initial reaction to hearing that I got paired up with Fifth was, "Ooh, that was unlucky." I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't know that, but sure.
Oh, yeah. I remember now.
Yeah. I think we had that conversation. Anyways, this guy is very notable for playing lots of Dutch and British, and not much else. And I practiced for Junimai for, like, 2 or 3 times, just trying to figure out the best strategy to use against Brits, and then I ended up using a completely different strategy against British when the time came, so that was useless. Thanks for being useless, Junimai, you're so...
No problem. I feel like one of my build orders. That's wonderful.
But I did take your advice when it came to fighting the Dutch this time around, and went for a Petard Rush, which is the strategy that is going into play here. So you see a 10-10 from Malta, Petard Rush deck is picked. Ironically enough, I was talking about, I was talking to you about how you were saying that the fixed gun was like the best thing ever, and I mentioned I'm more of a 9 fire thrower guy. In this game, I do think it probably would have been better to go with the fixed gun, and we'll kind of see that a little bit later.
So maybe just for the viewers, in the training part, and I also trained Pete. Pete played against Corbin Harbor, and Corbin Harbor, I think we all know by now, is famous for the Petard Rush of Malta. So I tried the Petard Rush of Malta, and first time I played it, I realized that when you blow up the TC, the restriction on buildings just goes away with the TC. So you can put a fixed gun literally in your opponent's base.
As
and
well
I
as
just was like,
which is just the most beautiful thing.
And the moment I realized, I was like, holy shit, this deck actually works.
Yeah. I generally, I can go the fixed gun, and I do it sometimes, but I generally opt for 9 fire throwers as the first shipment over the fixed gun, so that I have something to fight off enemy military without the enemy military just needing to walk underneath my range, you know?
Mm-hmm. And I like the thing that you just did. I feel like the Petard Rush is a game of protect the outpost wagon from ever being seen.
Yes.
You garrison villagers to shoot away the envoy there.
He's at 14 HP, he had to run away. If he stayed, he wouldn't know where the outpost was anyways. That was the kind of the necessity where I was like, oh shit, he happened upon my outpost wagon, I need to get this out of here.
Dear envoy, you know too much.
Yeah, he already knows too much. Oh shit, I meant to do the Fog of War one. Going over here, Dutch is making his barracks. He's got one bank. He's shipping the bank wagon. He's just doing, you know, Dutch things at the moment. He doesn't really suspect anything is going on, like an outpost wagon sneaking up. Oh my! It's already constructing. I was like, where did it go?
If you look at the Fog of War, poor part of the he scouted everything
except this one little patch of black. He's getting his market
This is
now.
rough, man.
This is what makes the P-Chart Rush so effective. You find that one corner on the edge of the map, and then especially against a civilization like Dutch, where they're not going to get their first units out for a little bit, and it's not going to have the stopping power to take out a P-Tard. It can be extremely dangerous to hit Dutch super early in this game with the P-Tard Rush. They just often don't have an answer for it. What they do have, though, is a unit in H2 with 20 range, and that turns out to be very important, because not a lot of civilizations have access to something like that.
And if I was, for example, I don't know, another Malta, you might just gather wood and food and never worry about coin for the first few minutes. But you're Dutch, so you can cancel villagers to pop militiamen, which is very nice against the Peter Rush.
That is true. They do get a multiplier. So now we can see we're aging to. We're in the third age. We have our 2 houses built, and we have 10 villagers on coin trying to get.
Here they come
for mercenaries later. Dumb Mongol scout I lost control of, but whatever. It doesn't really matter. I guess it does convince him to just take his skirmishers and go home, though, because he starts backing away from that, which is something I spotted. Okay, here, the P-Tards are coming in, so let's watch it from his perspective here. He's getting a stable up, he's getting a 3rd bank. And, uh-oh, what's that?
You need to call Minutemen, and you need Minutemen yesterday.
Yeah, his skirmishers are running back, he's got no Minutemen in queue. He evacuated the TC, actually. And the hospitality siege it down, so we have 2 P-Tards left. One of them destroys a house, the other goes for a bank.
I would have gone for the other house.
Yeah, I would have gone for the other house in hindsight, yes.
Because right now he's popped this whole hell. It's gonna be rough. Does he have market?
He does have a market, yes. He was actually getting ready to age up, it looks like, because he had a shipment in queue and he had 1,200 food. It looks like he canceled his 700 coin shipment. He was trying to fast fortress.
Well, if he was aging up, you definitely canceled it.
So now we come in with the fire throwers. Now this is the thing, is these fire throwers are really solid, especially against pretty much most H2 skirmishers, but they're not, I just killed all of his yaks, but they're not super ideal for this particular matchup with Dutch, because these guys have 20 range. And these guys may have 4.25 movement speed, but it's not quite enough to be ideal. You can see they're having trouble trying to catch it. They're having trouble catching them.
You do take good trades. Oh, good dodge on the 5th here.
Exactly, and this is kind of what happens here. He's sold a lot of his food, I think, and now he's making some Hussar. And I've just lost my anti-cav, and I do not have the shipment coming in for armored pistoliers yet. And so we just kind of do this back and forth all day until these Hussar arrive. And this is what I mean by I think I probably would have been better off going for the... If I had gone for the fixed gun and planted it right here, I could have protected it with the Hospitalers and had it siege down the stable really quick. So
and now he knows.
I retreat under the outpost, because I'm hoping that I can use it to take down the Hussars a little bit, because it does have a multiplier. I'm also hoping that I can lure everybody to the outpost, so that when my pop of armored pistoliers arise, the skirmishers will be too close to get away.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the real hope here. Is I was really hoping that he would stick around and try to siege this, but he didn't, and that pissed me off.
Can imagine that.
I was like, man, I feel like I maybe could have won this game had I had he stuck around and tried to siege down this outpost.
And I think he's rebuilding the TC at the same spot. If I'm not mistaken.
Yes, he's rebuilding TC in the exact same spot.
So
and
just imagine a fixed gun there.
Too. Yeah, he gets it built too. Now, I do manage to get the drop on his skirmishers here.
Oh, that volley was dirty.
It's 2 skirmishers on each volley.
Them armored pistoliers are dirty.
And we have a depot going up as well. Which I ought to keep up just because it increases the attack speed of the armored pistoliers.
That is true. And you need every help you can get right now.
Exactly.
Because it's do or die.
It is do or die. This shipment is going to either win me the game or my game is going to end with the shipment. The shipment of Hussars gets wasted. But unfortunately, it's these 5 skirmishers. These 5 skirmishers here that just kite all day long.
Oh. But they see it. Unfortunate.
Wait.
See, they can just do that all day long, and I can't keep up. And he's very attentive, too.
Well, the good thing is he's throwing the kitchen sink of pretty much everything he has to offer in terms of military. But the thing is, Dutch shipments are trash in H2.
That is true, but at the same time, he had enough of them to get by. And that's game. So that was game 1. With this loss, I kind of had this realization moment where I'm like, well, I decided I could kind of goof off in my round with the Cleaves in round 3 because I had 2 different series that I could... Because I had, like, 2 series I could lose a buffer room before I'm at a do-or-die moment. But I'm now at a do-or-die moment because this is Series 5. This is my win 3 or lose 3 and get kicked out or make it to the brackets. And I've just lost my first game, which means I can no longer lose matches if I want to stay in this tournament. And whether or not that happens, you guys will see at the end of this video. But here is the first game, and the pressure is on.
If I remember correctly, you have the Boyars card in there too, right?
One more time?
The cav. You have the Boyar cards, the cavalry card for 500 gold in H3 in your Malta deck.
Oh, I do have that in my deck. Yeah, I think so.
It would have been wonderful against Dutch. Force him even to make pikemen. Dutch hates it. Like,
wait, no, I don't.
10 pikes
actually,
is a bank.
Yeah, I do have that card. Yeah, that would have been a great card, actually. They don't have enough... They're native units, though, so they have pretty low siege, and I needed something high siege to take care of the second TC.
True. I mean, maybe the second TC would never have gone up had you had the cav.
Any final thoughts on the first game before we move to the second?
I think you're right about the fact that you had this game, but then the Spiral Fifth kept his head cool.
He kept his head up very cool. Cool as a cucumber.
And I was impressed by that. Like, I think it threw you off balance because it threw me off balance in the recording. Like, alright, he stays cool, he just, kites with the skirms. Go on.
He did a fantastic job of kiting with his skirms that game. There is no doubt about that. I was expecting him to mess up at some point and give me an in, but he never did. And that was really impressive on his part. Alright, going into game 2. What?
So, just for the viewers, I'm actually going in blind in there, but I see Corbin Harbor, USA, and I laugh. Straight up, because I know what's coming.
Yes, so I got to shoot... We got my map as well, my map selection. And I chose Bayou, and you know exactly why I chose Bayou, right?
Go ahead and build defenses on Bayou.
One more time?
Go ahead and build defenses on Bayou. You just can't.
No, the reason I chose Bayou is because there's no trade posts.
Alright.
Which is a pretty much trademark staple warning sign if I specifically picked USA and a map with no trade posts that I'm probably going Marines.
Interesting, I didn't know that. Why?
Yeah, because the Marine strategy doesn't use trade posts, so I tried to deny it from everybody else too.
So you slow down your opponent. Basically.
Exactly. It takes away a potential start they have. My other option, because I actually did have first pick of the maps, my other option after the bans for which map I chose was Patagonia, which I briefly considered due to it having water, and I could maybe do the Oyster Boom. But I ultimately decided that I didn't want to give... I suspected he was going to do Dutch first in the first game and British in the second game, which was exactly right. And I didn't want to give British 3 trade posts in Patagonia.
Well, that's a good idea.
Because Greenwich time and all that jazz. So instead I opted for Bayou, because it has no trade posts, and I decided from the get-go that I was going to do the Marine start because, well, it's basically my strongest strategy. And it might not be the strongest on a technical term, but it's the it's strongest for me because I know it so well and have fine-tuned it so much. While it may not be the most technically strong, it is easily the one that I know the best muscle memory-wise and is the most fine-tuned.
And as you said, pressure's on. You need to pick something you're comfortable with.
Exactly.
100%.
And I am... So, for reference, Dunamai was my training dummy for the past couple of weeks in my matches against both Pete and Parallel the Fifth. And I knew going into my match with Parallel the Fifth that British would be an issue, so I practiced everything I could for Malta and Aztec on the British, because I didn't know whether or not I would have USA available against the British. And pretty much all of those strategies that I had tried against the British had failed, and I'm like, God, I hope I can use the Marines on the British, and I figured I'd go Malta for the first game, because I figured you'd start with Dutch, and that's exactly what happened. So it turns out that those like 10 games we played were for nothing, because I just ended up playing British with USA. And if there's one thing I'm confident in, it's that my Marine strategy is capable of wiping out the British army and giving me enough momentum. It won't always do that. It depends on the British player a little bit and the strategy they opt for. But it's one of my more consistent methods of taking down the British. I find that my best method for fighting the British is to get a big power push and defeat them in one fell swoop, because if you try to rush them, they're just going to manner boom in the fog of war behind the rush, and it's not going to work. And if you try to outboom them in the long run, well, they're British, that's not going to work either. And I feel like, against the British in particular, one big push with a huge power spike is, like, one of the only ways to really fight them.
So, 2 things about that. I think it's also a good idea because when you siege down the manors, you get a lot of XP. So you can basically do an XP boom with your Marine strat. And the second is... So, when you train for the tournament, I remember you saying, like, yeah, I can't see what I can do against Brits. And I'm happy you went for the Marine strat, because one of my concern was that you would go for something like completely batshit crazy because nothing else worked, and that you would just, go for, I don't know, a Russian priest rush or something like that.
Something stupid that I'm not comfortable with and throw the game away.
Yeah.
No, the plan was... The plan initially was to fight Brits with the Marines. That was the A plan. All the matches I did with you was just kind of the B plan, to see if there was anything that could beat if I got stuck not playing USA or India against Brits.
And as we discussed, the better and better of Brits You put the tower, you put the racks, and you begin to train musketeers.
Yes. Seeing his deck, we see he has Virginia Company and 3 settlers, both of which he's sent. And he's got a very, very standard British deck. Lots of cavalry, musketeer combat. He's got the yeoman card. It's about as standard as it gets here. There's no fort. That's pretty much the only thing. Oh, no, there is a fort. Yeah, this is as standard as it gets. This is, like, the epitome of the British deck. You know?
If it's not broken, don't fix it.
If it's not broken, don't fix it. That is very, very true. And if there's one thing I know about this guy, it's that he loves to play Brits, and so he's going to try to play in some of the more optimal ways that he possibly can. He's got a lot of villages already. 25. I'm on 19. Now at 20. That's just the USA like Marine Strast Fortress in general, though. It's very light on the settler gathering, if you will. But now I've started Hing to 3 with Indiana, and we're gonna get the Virginia General Assembly and the 700 wood.
It's perfect against Brits because it's not like Brit is gonna, rush you in 5 minutes. They need a bit of time to build up. So.
Exactly. So
and the initial mass can be repelled by your militiamen, so that's great.
So we both trade here, 1 musketeer for 1 Minuteman. Now, in terms of military, he got the better trade here because musketeers are way easier to replace than Minutemen. But in terms of, XP gain, I won because Minutemen don't give XP. Fuck you. It's all a matter of perspective. Now he's amassed a much larger amount. He's at 11 musketeers to my 11 Minutemen, funny enough. But now he's got this wall of the state capital. And I've just hit age 3, which means I have 5 regulars to add in here as well. It gets kind of caught in this uncomfortable sandwich. He keeps trying to, kite, but both of our units have the same range, so I just kind of keep taking pot shots. I only lost 1 Minuteman in that engagement, and he lost a lot of musketeers.
Let's just say it, Minutemen are disgusting. The USA Minutemen, they're so good.
Oh yeah, 26 attack in age 2 is no joke. Well, granted, I am technically in age 3, but still. So he's trying to get a stable out.
The stable is a good call.
It is.
You need to do it.
I actually found out after the game, in our post-game chat, he did not know the Minutemen tags, which I feel like is... If you're fighting me, and my USA, I feel like, knowing the Marine tags is, the very first thing you should find out when it comes to, homework of strategies against me, is you need to know how to counter Marines. So I guess I put a little bit more effort into studying for him than he did for me. But, it's fine.
To each their own. And I think he really focused on the fundamentals.
He did.
He has an excellent macro.
He does.
Superb economy. He's not floating a lot of resources. This wood is going to be transferred into a manor house, I guess. He has exactly the split for Cav.
His macro skills are very impressive. Oh shit, that just spoiled the outcome of this game. You didn't hear that. You didn't hear that.
Yeah, no, there's nothing to see here. Move on.
Anyways, he's given me enough time to get my 3 TCs at this point with the Marines card. These Hussars are going to raid. I now have 5 Hussars of my own. And I just push, and I'm like, oh, fuck. Now, one of the annoying things here is that he happened upon all of my food gatherers, and I'm short 100 food in order to get my next batch of Minutemen. Which was super annoying. I send these guys over to a dead deer here that's gone by the time they arrive. But here's something that is unfortunate for him, is that we're fighting in the middle of the map, and that's where his base is, which means it's the perfect location for my flag. Because he can't really retreat from here because I'll burn his buildings. But he also doesn't want to fight me here because now I have 28 attack.
to be fair, he takes to an excellent fight.
He does, but now most of his musketeers are gone, and my hussar have free reign on the archers.
And I guess some marines are gonna come in.
Yeah, and I have another batch of marines coming as soon as in a couple seconds, along with the Gatling guns behind us. Wait, come on, where is it? No, it's coming soon. So we're burning down this barracks here. God, what took me so long to get this fucking Minutemen call? It's so
the pressure of the Germans.
There it is. Going for some Huss raids up
pressure
top.
for
He
you.
did get a batch of pikes out, but you know, they're pikes, what are they gonna do? The Huss are nowhere near. I start going for the outpost and he calls it GG. I think he probably could have fought on a little bit longer in this match. He didn't know what tags the Marine had. He didn't know if they were light or heavy. He said he checked the tags and they had neither. I'm like, they're basically light, just make cav. And he's like, oh, okay, cool. But yeah, they don't have the light infantry tag because they don't, you know, have multipliers. But yeah, they are treated as light infantry for the most part. I think with the Gatling guns, he probably would have had a little bit of a struggle, especially not having a barracks. But oh, he was out of food too.
And that's the problem with Brits.
I feel like he could have stayed in a little bit longer. At least I thought he could have, but no, maybe not, considering he has no food. And he'd have to make some bad market trades in order to get that food.
Then from there you siege down the houses, you get more and more shipments. You can send rolling artillery again and again and again.
Come on.
Or even send regulars. I don't know if you have the volunteers card, the one for food.
I do not have that card in this deck. I throw.
But you have the 8 regulars.
I have U.S. Army. And
you have a frigate. The famous Bayou frigate.
Generally, when I'm trying to get a boost to my forces at this point, I go for the Indiana mobilization over the 8 regulars.
To do a pseudo skirm, but the skirm is your marines.
Yes, exactly. Or I'll go with the U.S. Army card to give my marines a buff, especially if I had minimal losses in the initial encounter.
Oh yeah, because it buffs marine too.
It does, yes. It buffs your general, Minutemen, and Marines, and all heavy infantry. It's like the best combat card in the game. Sometimes I go Georgia Hussars as well, and I really try to dig deep into the cav mass aspect of the strategy. But 8 regulars is generally not something I send, because by the time I feel like I might want some regulars, I'm in H4, and I just send Minutemen companies instead. Or Indiana mobilization.
Gotcha.
What is your command?
So honestly, regulars never really factor into the strategy, except for the age-up ones.
Hello.
And I know these guys are not exactly the most potent units out there, but they're veteran status, and they're tankier than the regular, and you get a lot more of them.
And they counter at range, so they kind of do the job if you're getting pushed by cav.
Exactly, they do it a lot better than the regulars, than the shipment of 8 regulars will. You know, when you're training them en masse, you know, regulars are probably better. But when you're shipping them, this is a big shipment. This is honestly, this is it is the best of the ship units for each shipment sent so far this game card. The USA has a lot of those. Indiana mobilization is the best one, because carbine cavalry are a lot of HP per unit, and it also gives the research and build time upgrade as well.
Yeah. What is yes?
So that is game 2. With that said, we go into a tiebreaker round for round 3 that will be covered in a next video releasing tomorrow, the day after this one. So thank you guys so much for watching. Junimai will be joining me in the 3rd game, and we will get going. Have a nice day. Any last words?
Marines OP.
Yes.
Sounds about right. 60 siege.